Good morning, everybody. I'm so glad you joined our very first HEB Live virtual class for flowers. I'm so excited. I'm Andy, the corporate designer for Blooms, and with me today is Erin. She is the Blooms director. We're so excited for you to be here today in this great class, and it's going to be fun. You're going to learn how to make a beautiful arrangement in a terrarium, and I'm so excited for you to be here today. If you want to learn more about other classes, you can go to heb.com/class and learn more. We hope to have more of these coming up soon, and we're so excited. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to make this beautiful bouquet using our Lone Star Living bouquet. And I think that it's a great arrangement because we change those out every month. And when we change those every month, so you can come in every month and get something really cool and fresh. And so this is our Lone Star Living bouquet. We hand select the items that go into this all across Texas, and it changes, again, monthly. So it's a great item to do for your house. And we're going to make this great, beautiful arrangement using that and a dozen roses. Our designer dozens are a great item to add to those because it's going to make that arrangement beautiful and full. But the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about our vase. Our vase is very important. I think most people get a vase that's too big, or maybe get a vase that's like really has a great big mouth and there's no cinch. The biggest thing that I want to talk about today is this cinch. That really holds your flowers in a really great place. What's going to happen is it's going to allow your stems to go out in the bottom, but also allow those stems to go out in the top. It's going to make a really beautiful form to your arrangement when it's all finished and done. So that's a very important thing that we're going to do first is talk about this vase. You can use any vase from your house, so don't be afraid to use vases that you already have. I know that we get flowers all the time, or hopefully you do, and that we can pull one of those from your arsenal of vases and use those, or you can go into the stores and select one from the wonderful designers that we have there, or the floral manager. They can help you select a vase for your house if you don't have one. So drop in if you need one. If not, use something for your house. So we're going to start off with this vase. This is our square flared vase that we use for a lot of our arrangements in our department.
Andy, what should I put in my, should I use sugar, bleach?
Nope, you've watched those TikToks, y'all, so hopefully you've watched them. They're really cool. We've been doing TikToks to have some of the myth busters. So we already have in our department, we already have this great flower food. It's already pre-measured. Everything's done. We have a band of scientists that work with our company to make sure that we have the perfect thing for our flowers to make them last a long time. So we put a lot of thought and research into this to make it beautiful for your flowers, to make them last longer. It has basically like an antibacterial in it, and it also has some like a sucrose or sugar to make your flowers last longer. So it's perfectly measured for a vase. You can take and open this up. If you run out, don't be afraid to go to your store and ask for it. It already comes on the bouquet itself, but most people are like, oh my gosh, like I ran out of those. Go to your HEB and just talk to your floral manager or the designer there and say, hey, could you have another one of the little flower packets that I can add to my vase?
How often should we change the water, Andy?
When it gets murky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stir this. You can see it's kind of cloudy right now, but I'm going to stir this. I'm going to use my flower stirrer. You don't have to use I'm using what I have. Instead of going off and getting something else, I'm going to use this. So the flower food is going to beautifully go into here. We're going to stir it up so it's nice and dissolved into our water. And then this is going to turn beautiful clear in a little bit. So we're going to start off with that. There is our beautiful vase with our flower food in it. Next, we're going to take our bouquet. This bouquet is already out of the container or out of the packaging, and I've cleaned off the stems. And what I mean by cleaning off the stems, meaning there's nothing in the water. So I'm going to pull this from the side. I'm going to pull this piece, and I'm going to pull off some of the lower leaves or laterals on there.
What would happen if the foliage was in the water, Andy?
Good question. That's going to make that flower with the water very nasty and dirty. It's going to make your flowers not last as long because there's going to be bacteria in this water because the leaves are inside of it, and it's going to cause your water to turn murky. It'll be gross. It may turn green. It may have a little bit of mold in it. You don't want that. So that's very important to take off all those leaves that I'm doing now. I'm just going to take them off, or anything that's going to be too long, like this baby's breath. That one is too deep, so I'm going to take it off. And again, put this off to the side. You can use that in a vase for some flowers someplace else. Again, you can if you use your flowers for your bouquet and there's something that's broken, don't be afraid to cut it off. Like people think, oh, I can't cut it off. Again, just snipping that off so it's broken right there. And again, you may not use it, but then that's perfect. So we're going to take and clean all those off. But again, this arrangement's already pre-designed. It has a little bit of a spiral effect to it, so you can already see it here. And it's very nice and neat. Basically, it keeps the flower together. It keeps the arrangement together. You can actually lay this down and pick it back up. You can see me doing that, and it stays in one piece. So I'm going to move some stuff down because you want this beautiful arrangement to have like a beautiful flow to it, like actually kind of come off the edge and be nice and rounded when it's all finished. And so we're going to take and use that. So we're going to do that. I did take that out by accident. That was my stir, so that should be already in this arrangement already. So I'm going to take it. I'm going to use these beautiful open roses. And again, I'm going to set this down. Don't be afraid to take off these guard petals. Again, they've got damage in shipping. They come from Colombia. So that's from South America. They've come from Bogota a lot of times from our farms that we work with that grow our flowers. And we're going to take those off. It's called a guard petal. It's just got used, it's basically in damage. It just happens to be messed up in shipping and things like that. So again, just don't be afraid to take those off.
Andy, we have a question. What's the perfect temperature for your water to be?
Just right out of the tap, just natural tap water is perfect for it. Not hot, not anything, just right out of your tap, lukewarm, just right out of the tap, water is perfect to use. Again, most people want to like add hot water to this to like dissolve it. See, it's dissolved already, so you don't have to worry about it being hot. Don't use hot water in it because it's going to damage your stems. Next, we're going to take and we're going to crosshatch basically our flowers into this arrangement.
And what does crosshatch mean? Good
question, Erin. That is basically you're going to go counterclockwise and you're going to add in or crisscross the stems to make this hand-tied spiral. See how that's starting to spiral? And again, I'm going to come on this side and add one here.
So you're just adding to the spiral that was already in the bouquet?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just adding to that beautiful spiral, and I'm going to fill in around my arrangement. Basically fill in where there may be holes or what have you. Don't be afraid to move them around. And then don't be afraid to add them to the top. Like some people just want to add them around the edge. I come back in and see there's a hole right here. And I'm going to add this in a crossways here. And there we are. I'm going to add another one to the top, maybe right here.
Is there a reason you didn't cut them before you're doing them in your hand?
I will get to that later. That's a great thing. I'm going to leave them like this because, again, most people want to cut the stems, pre-cut them, and put them in water. You want to cut them right then and put them directly into water versus cutting them all at one time and leaving them out and let them dry. So that's going to cause the stem to dry out, and it's going to cause your flowers to die. You don't want that. You want your flowers to be beautiful. So you want that fresh cut stem straight into water so there's no lead time for your stems to dry out. That's a good question too. So I'll show you in a minute what I do to make a perfect cut. So I'm going to just add these in. It's already starting to look beautiful. Like I don't have to do much to it to make it beautiful. Again, it's that crosshatch, and look at that beautiful spiral on the bottom of it. And you know what? Maybe if I want a little bit of greenery to it, I'm going to take and add that to it. Again, I've got this down to a pattern. See me clipping off with my fingers. I just learned how to do this over the years to pull some of that off very easily. I think, honestly, I'm getting there. I'm going to add one to the top.
What if I stopped using those flowers, Andy? What else could I do? Andy knows I love to spread flowers around my house.
So yeah, Erin at her house, she takes and her bouquets apart one by one and adds them to small vases throughout her house. And that's a great technique to use to do that. So here we are. I'm pretty much finished with this. I may zhuzh it a little bit by adding some more stuff to it when I get it in the vase, but the mechanics are here. It's already here. And I'm going to take and use my clippers. And again, I use clippers or shears. You can use kitchen shears if you want to. In our department, we also, in the Texas backyard, they have gardening shears. You can use those. You can use kitchen shears. You want to use those because if you use a pair of scissors.
Yeah, what would happen? Why can't I use my scissors?
So good question. So I'm going to try to cut this, and look, I can't, like I'm trying hard to cut this. It's really hard.
Oh, it's going to squeeze those stems.
Yeah, I'm messing that stem up. So you'll watch. I'm going to use my garden clippers. These are garden clippers that I have. And so I'm going to pull this face to the edge. I'm going to say, oh, okay, so there's my cut point. I basically aligned where I cut with the edge of my table, if you can see this here. So basically this arrangement, you want the heads of the flowers to like live on the edge.
Why don't I want to leave them too long, Andy? What's going to happen?
Because they're going to fall over. They're going to fall out. It's going to make your arrangement look awry. So you don't want that to happen. So I'm going to cut those all off.
So short is okay. I'm allowed to cut them short.
Absolutely, because that's going to let them have a lot of water. I'm going to drop this in. And again, you can move some stuff around. Don't be afraid to move some stuff around. Pull some stuff out, move some stuff in. So there we are. We have our little arrangement made. Beautifully done. And then again, if you want to add some more stuff like these beautiful, if you want some wow to it, let's add some of this grass to it.
Look at that curl.
It's great and curly. It's going to add some funness to it. I mean, if you have kids, I mean, I would love this for little kids to see this. I think it just adds some great dimension to it, but also adds some fun to it.
This would be a great point to let your kids help you for a gift.
Absolutely. I mean, wouldn't it be so impactful if you made this with your kids and the kids are like, they made this for their mom, and just think they're going to be so excited when they make this arrangement and give it to their mom because they made it. Again, let your kids join too. I think it's a great way to bring everybody in the family, bring everybody together. Like dads, like, come on, go out there and buy that arrangement, make it for your wife, and surprise her that you and the kids made this. I think it's be a happy spot for your family. And again, I think this is good. I don't think I need to add nothing else to it. Maybe move some stuff around, maybe move some stuff up. Your showstoppers in here are your roses. And if you pull them out a little bit, they're going to open up more. So I kind of pull mine out a little bit. So here we have this beautiful arrangement done.
Oh, I can see the crisscross in the vase.
Yep. If you look at the vase, you can see how it's crisscrossed, but see how that pretty flare is? It's just really pretty and nice. And again, don't be afraid to move stuff around. I move stuff around all the time. If I don't like where it is, again, it's forgiving. You see, I don't really manhandle them. I kind of pull some stuff out. I'm going to pull this leaf off because it's damaged. Again, it's just basically grooming that arrangement to make it beautiful. So there we are. So that's our Lone Star Living and Dozen Roses.
I have just enough flowers left for another arrangement.
Yeah, and I have enough flowers left. Look at this. I have enough flowers left to beautifully put in some arrangements for my bathroom. Imagine you made this great arrangement for your house, but then you have some little small vases throughout your house, and you add it to the bathroom. Could you imagine how Mother would get up and there's like flowers in her bathroom, there's flowers on her table, there's flowers beside the sink. It'd be a wow for your mom. So there we are. There's our Lone Star Living. Do you have any questions about our bouquet?
Actually, we do have a question. Do you need to cut at an angle? You mentioned cutting the flowers.
You don't have to cut at an angle. They used to say that it cut at an angle, it gave more water, basically for this thing to drink more water. Just a fresh stem is fine. I think what happens with that is it's one of those things, we learned it kind of a thing, but then science has told us not really. It's going to be the same thing when you're doing, there's more damage to the stem when you cut it this way, because there's more, let's think about damage. Like if you cut something off straight, there's less damage if you cut it at an angle. So there's less ways for the bacteria to get into that stem. So again, our scientists have worked really hard to give us feedback on what happens. Again, if it works for you, that's fine. But I listen to the scientists and say, hey, cutting it clean and straight is fine too. So you don't have to worry about that.
Clean cut's most important.
Clean cut is most important. Sharp shears, clean cut.
Nice, thank you.
There we are. Next, I'm so excited. We'll set this off, sorry. I'm going to set this off, and we're going to be using, I'm going to gather some stuff. I'm going to be using and making this beautiful, beautiful terrarium. I made this a few weeks ago, and this terrarium was made for the photo shoot. If you go into our stores and see the beautiful boards and stuff of how to make this is actually the item that we made for that photo shoot. And it's been on my back patio for like 7 weeks at least, I think, so for a while. It's been on my patio, and again, very easy, very maintenance free. I go in once a week and kind of spritz my air plants in this Tillandsia, as you see it right here.
Did you say that right? Once a week, that's all I need to water?
Yeah, with those spritz bottles. So I take my spritz bottle. We have those in our Blooms Market stores. We have these great little gold spritz bottles that you can use, but you can also go in to your regular cleaning aisle and get a great spritz bottle from the center store and get it and buy it there too. That's what I use personally because I have a lot of plants in my house. Erin and I are plant mom and dads, and we love plants, so I got a lot to take care of every day.
Thank you, pandemic. You have made me a plant mom.
And so I have a lot of stuff to water. So and it's also scheduling that time. Sundays are my day. I get up every Sunday morning, water my plants, spritz my plants, and that's key. But again, succulents need way less water, honestly about every other week. But again, you can tell when the succulent's going to die. It's going to shoot something out of the center. When it shoots like a little warning sign, basically a little white flag going, I'm almost dead. It's going to shoot that out. That means you're watering it too much or it's dying. If it comes out the side, that means I'm growing. So out of the top, no. Out of the side, yes. So what I do is I just go in here with my spritz bottle and I spritz the Tillandsia about once a week, and about every 2 weeks I go to the other side and spritz it with a little spritz bottle. That's all it needs. It doesn't need a lot of water. They're an arid, they're a desert plant, so they don't need a lot of water. So we're going to make this great terrarium. We have rock, we have moss. Again, we carry this in our stores. I'm going to use a 8-inch bowl. That was a 10-inch bowl. And I'm going to use some great Tillandsia. And then I've got some dirt.
How do I know how big of a container for the plants I'm using?
So usually like it's the size of the container. Like this one has about 6 plants in it maybe. And then this one I'm going to put, maybe 3 to 5 max in this. Again, you do not want to overcrowd that bowl, because if you overcrowd it, that means it can't breathe, it can't grow, it can't mature. At that point, it kind of squeezed in there. You don't want that to happen. And I got some great mosses, and I'm going to use a little bit more soil. So I'm just going to take the very first thing we're going to do. Again, we carry all this in our stores: rock, moss, bubble bowl, everything in our store. The Tillandsia is there, all the succulents are there. You can buy all this from our store. I'm going to take
If they don't see it in the store, should they ask for help?
Yeah, if you don't see it, just ask for help. I mean, our Blooms managers, our designers in our stores will be more than happy to help you find what you need. So I'm going to add this rock in here, and I'm going to add it about 1 inch of rock to the bottom of this. This is going to give me water drainage in this terrarium. It needs it. If you overwater it, there's somewhere for the water to go, because you don't want to saturate that soil, because it's going to make the plant die. And when you add too much water, that's what's going to happen. This is going to help alleviate some of that water that you may, if you overwater it by accident, then it goes somewhere for it to go. So it's going to evaporate. So we're going to come in here, and I'm going to take and I'm going to add this beautiful dirt first. It doesn't need a lot of dirt. I mean, honestly, it doesn't need a lot of dirt. I just pull some off just to give me a little bit of growth area. This one already has some dirt on it. I'm going to come in here and place it in here beautifully. And then this one had a little dirt on it too, so I'm going to kind of shove it into this other side to kind of push it in here to design it. And then again, that's my 2 succulents per se. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to add a little bit more rock. So I'm kind of fill in around.
Andy, online I know we directed that they could buy a 5-inch. So if you're using a 5-inch succulent, it looks like you're using a little smaller here.
Yeah.
Would that be for the larger bowl?
If you do a 5-inch, honestly, a 5-inch, you can just put one of those in this container. So honestly, I had one of these are on mine. I had this great, beautiful succulent. It's like this big. Added some rock, some dirt, and put that beautiful in there. And that's a great centerpiece. Just one succulent and go. So you can do that just one. If you have a really beautiful, unique succulent, I can add just one to this one, like a big one just to that one. It's beautiful too. Again, and you can stack these together. Like on my patio, I have 3 bubble bowls put together. One has one succulent, one has a couple, then one has a lot, like this one. So
we have
again,
different variations of size available.
Yes, we have all different sizes. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to add some more of this rock.
You could even have fun with the rock, right? It doesn't need to be river rock. If I'm feeling a little fancy.
Yeah, you can actually add crystals to it, be it fancy crystals. You can add
I think you're the fancy one in the group, Andy.
I know. I get a little overboard sometimes, but you know what? That's me. And again, you can make this personalized to you, and I think that's what's very important. Like,
I'm more a seashell kind of girl.
You know what? You can add those seashells to that. That's the beauty of this. I mean, let's just think if you're there making this for your mom or your grandma, and y'all went on this great beach trip to Fort Walton Beach in Florida, and you're like, you know what, pick some seashells up, and you're going to make this terrarium for your grandmother, and you have those seashells in it. I mean, what a bright point for the grandma for Mother's Day, to give that to your kids, or mom, either way, anything that you think that's special, like a great piece of rock or a great branch or something that you picked up on a trip to Utah or something that you have. It's very, very, very easy to add those into it and make this special, make it unique, make it you. And you can go glitzy with it and add some glitzy crystals to it, or you can go very meditative with it and add some healing crystals to it. Again, whatever you are or whoever you are, add this to this bowl because this is unique to you.
What's that bright green moss you're using?
Well, I'm glad you asked. It's basically, this moss is our reindeer moss, and I love the texture of it. I love when I add this to a bowl to a terrarium or to a biosphere is what I like to call it too. I like to add it to. I love that freshness to it. Again, we sell this in our department, and basically that's going to cover up some of the roots, but it also is going to add some texture to this bowl. I think it's very important that you not only make it beautiful, but also make it that it works, because you're going to cover those roots because you don't want those to show. And if you see, like, there's still some holes in here, don't be afraid to add some more rock. I mean, there's no right or wrong to it. Again, you're making this for you and making it fit your home. Again, this could be very easily done. Bring some stuff around, put some rock down lower, shove some in if you need to. We're going to easily add some of this around. Again, making this your own. Don't get it onto the succulent. I'm going to pull some of those out.
Are you waiting till the end to add the tillandsia, Andy?
Yes, I am. So basically, a tillandsia is an air plant. It grows in the air. So this is going to be kind of like my finishing piece I'm going to add to it. So you can add some different sizes. There's some different sizes. I've had this one at my house. This came from my house. I've had this since September, and it's beautiful. But you know what? I want to add a little bit of something zhuzh in here. I want to add 2 of those small ones in here just to give it some great texture. See how I kind of filled in that area right there?
Why do they call those air plants?
So they're called air plants because they get their nutrients and vitamins and everything from the air. So basically, this is growing in a tree or on some kind of like a rock or tree or somewhere, and it's gaining all of its nutrients from the air that's taking in. So it's like water, anything that helps it to grow and survive. So that's why I'm adding it.
Andy, we do have another question.
Yes.
Does the moss need to touch the soil, or is it okay for it just to touch the rocks?
It's okay for it just to touch the rocks. This is preserved. So this preserved moss is already, so it lasts forever. It's going to stay that beautiful bright green. It's not going to turn tarnish or look ugly. It's going to be beautiful and bright and fresh all the time because it is preserved, and it's a natural preservative that's on there just to make it stay beautiful and bright and green. So we use that a lot in our
I
stuff.
will add that you can also spritz it with the water just like you do the plants, and it's going to keep it
it keeps it moist.
Keep
it keeps
it
it
moist
growing.
and bright.
Yeah, see this tillandsia, how it's got some little almost like they're not really roots, little tendrils that come out to like clasp onto something else. This is unique because you really don't see this a lot on your tillandsia. That means it's growing, which is good. And again, when you're spritzing this, if you come around there and spritz this little area right here, it's going to keep growing. It may add another one on it too, basically a little baby onto it. But again, I come in here and spritz that every once in a while, not over spritz it. If the ends start to turn brown, that means it's too dry. If it's pretty and green like this, that means it's perfect. If you can see it, perfect water. And again, I've had this since September. So again, it's happy where it's living at my house. So there we are. So we've made this great terrarium using our rock, our moss, some tillandsia, and some succulents. So this should live beautifully at your house for months and months and months.
Do tillandsia and succulents like to be in dark or in a sunny location?
They like to be in sunny location. So at my house, on my patio, I have this beautiful coffee table, and I have 3 bowls on it, and it gets the morning direct sun all morning to about midday. As long as you're watering it, it's fine. I think it's great. Again, you don't want it to get too dry. You can kind of see if you look in there and it's like your tillandsia is starting to turn brown, some of your stuff's starting to wilt a little bit, then you need to add some water for sure in it. Any other questions?
Yeah, so can you add ice cubes?
You can add ice cubes. That's just an easy way for it to do it. So basically, we had a study on it that it's just easier to add ice cubes to it. I add it to the soil, not on the plant. So add it to the soil, like come in the side and tuck you in an ice cube, like with the tillandsia, with your succulents, maybe every 2 weeks, maybe. It may be too much, 1 ice cube to it. Basically, it's just enough water. People forget, they either overwater or they underwater their plants. So which is really it's an easy way for you to think, saying, is that enough water? It's a good way to like have enough of that control of the water that you put inside of it.
Yeah, I do that with our orchids. So
Yeah.
that's my favorite trick is three little ice cubes in an orchid once a week. How do you know how much is enough and not too much drainage? Or that you have a proper mixture in your terrarium.
So in the bottom of that container, I add about 1 inch. 1 inch worth of rock is really what you need in there. It helps basically keeps the roots off that water is all that you're doing. It's going to evaporate naturally is what it's going to happen. And really when it evaporates, your tillandsia is going to really love it because it's going to feed the tillandsia itself. So that's really important to add that kind of almost like 1 inch of rock in the bottom or the base of that terrarium.
I have another great question. Anything special you need to do if your terrarium is closed? I actually have experienced this firsthand, but I'll let Andy answer this for us.
So when you do that, when a closed terrarium, what's going to happen is you want to add, when you first do it, what I do is I take and I go into my sink, I'll water everything in my sink, let it dry off for just a little bit, add my rock just like we did before, then add those in there, then put your top on. You're good. If there's no hole in it, leave it alone because you created an atmosphere inside that container and you do need to do nothing else except maybe move it in and out of the sun. As if it starts to fog up, then you move it out of the sun. If it's not fogging up, maybe you need to go toward the sun. So it's kind of one of those things. It's going to take a little more love for you to make that happen. So when you do that, that helps. If it's got a little bit of a hole in it, you have to watch it. And you have to water it maybe every few weeks maybe. You have to watch that because what happens is there's going to be a lot of moisture inside there. It's going to cause them to rot. So you really have to, if you have a closed top, you're really going to have to watch that container in those plants.
Sometimes it can sweat a little too much and start causing some mold in there.
Yep, and so it will cause mold if it's too damp. That's why I kind of water everything and then set it off, let it drain, and then put it in. Very important. You don't want too much moisture.
Awesome. Another great question about succulents. Are there any specific succulents or you can use, or is there one that's better than others?
Any are pretty good to use. Like I know
I have my favorites.
Yeah, I have the Echeveria is my favorite, which is the ones that are kind of like more like the flatter, the prettier
like
style.
Rose.
They look like a little rose or whatever. That's probably everybody's favorite. They are easy to grow. They do last a lot longer than some of the other ones. Like this one, I love this jade style one is fine too. It grows beautifully too. Actually, we'll start to grow more of those in there.
Vines it's a little bit more.
Yeah, it's very easy for those to use. Yeah, here's the Echeveria.
I like the spiky one. That's my favorite. I don't even know the real name, but the spiky one that you can't kill.
Yeah, almost like the little
cactus.
The little snake cactus here is great. If you can see that one, that's great. That's my favorite. I have these throughout my house too because they're like Tillandsia almost. And
I do think the air plants add just a great texture to the bowl.
Yep,
so.
and I think they do too. And then here's the Echeveria. There's all different styles and colors and what have you. They're really great, but that's what Aaron was talking about. This is what most people will like. Again, these are growing beautifully. There's nothing, I see a little, like I can come back here and pull maybe that off. You see that little dead one off the side. But as far as like it growing, it's perfect. So again, there we are. There is our great class making our terrarium, making our bouquet. That gives you 2 items to make for Mother's Day. And I'd like to take this moment to say Happy Mother's Day to all of our mothers watching right now. Again, maybe you'll get one of these for Mother's Day. If you can't make it, go to one of our stores and have one of our stores to make it. I think it's great for that. If you can't do that, my mom would be that person. She would go in and be like, I can't make that. My son can do it. I can't do it. I'm going to go buy it from the store. If you see something you don't like, ask your designer at that store to help you out, make it something fabulous for you, that make it unique. You can go out and pick all your succulents that you want. You can say, hey, I want these succulents to go in this container, and then you give me some education on it. Or even say, hey, can I change some stuff out monthly or whatever? That's even better. So that's a great thing for our store. But again, thank y'all all so much for joining us for the class today. Hopefully we'll have more of these, and I would love to see y'all again on our classes. Again, please reach out and say, hey, I'd love to see these classes. What would you love to see? Because I would love to teach you about flowers and what they do and how they grow and what makes them last longer. Because you know what? Flowers make you happy. Again, Happy Mother's Day. Thank you, Aaron, for moderating for us today. Again, you can go to heb.com/classes to find out more cooking, floral, any other stuff that you can have for classes. I'm so excited to be here today. I'm so happy you joined us. Again, thank you so much. Until next time, see you later.
Happy Mother's Day.